what's been going on for the last 4 years, sir.
The southern border is chaotic by design, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I've been covering the border for 3 decades, and yeah, it's pretty chaotic.
Would it be fair to
That right there is what happens when someone who actually represents the American people sits down with a panel of Washington insiders, retired brass, and activist lawyers who think they know better than you. Senator John Kennedy didn't come to that hearing to play nice. He came with receipts, he came with quotes, and one by one he made every single witness at that table answer for what they've said and what they believe. They weren't ready. Let me show you the full uncut exchange. Then I'll break down exactly why this hearing is something every American over the age of 18 needs to watch, piece by piece.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Arthur, you are with the Center for Immigration Studies, is that right?
That's correct, Senator.
And that's a nonpartisan think tank, is it?
It is, sir.
Okay. The border is an open, bleeding wound, isn't it?
That's a fair way to characterize what's been going on for the last 4 years, sir.
The southern border is chaotic by design, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I've been covering the border for 3 decades, and yeah, it's pretty chaotic.
Would it be fair to say that the broken southern border is man-made?
It would be fair to say that, sir, based on policies that have been implemented.
And that man's name is Joe Biden, isn't it?
That would be a fair assessment, yes, Senator.
Under President Biden, if you wait in line for legal immigration, you're a chump, aren't you?
When you look at the benefits that have been given to people and the speed at which they've been released into the United States, I would be chagrined if I were waiting.
You're a chump, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
General.
Yes,
You
sir.
believe in open borders, don't you?
I believe in the rule of law, sir.
All right. And it makes you angry that President Trump does not believe in open borders, doesn't it?
Senator, I'm not here to discuss immigration policy. I'm here to discuss whether or not we use the military to enforce it.
And it makes you angry that most Americans don't believe in open borders, doesn't it?
Not in the slightest, sir. Again, I am not here to discuss the immigration policy.
Yeah. Duty, honor, respect, you talked about that
Yes,
in
Senator.
your opening statement. On October 14th of this year, you went on CNN. I want to read you what you said, make sure I'm accurate. Here's what you said. President Trump is not like any sane leader. I'm very proud of General Milley for saying that President Trump is a total fascist. To Bob Woodward, if he as chairman of the Joint Chiefs is calling the president a fascist, I'm so proud of him for breaking that barrier. The challenge is because most MAGA Republicans, they don't understand what fascism is. The reality is that they are, in fact, fascists themselves. Did I read that accurately?
Senator, I am happy to discuss my personal perspectives with you separately at any time. That's not the purpose of the hearing today.
Did I read that accurately?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. You think you're smarter than the American people, don't you?
Absolutely not, Senator. I am here to discuss the use of the military as part of this mass deportation.
You think you're more virtuous than the American people, don't you, General?
Senator, I am insulted by your comment.
Duty, honor, and respect. You talked about that in your opening statement, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Moran said, I wrote down her words. She said, by their actions, you know what someone's character is like. You agree with that?
Senator, for 35 years, I served my country with absolute honor and distinction, and I will continue to do so.
You agree with what Ms. Moran said?
Of course.
Mr., we've got a few minutes left.
23 seconds.
Well, actually, you let Ms. Klobuchar go well over, so I'm assuming you'll extend me the
I'll
same.
give you the
courtesy.
same minute I gave to her.
You gave it a minute 20. I timed it.
You're using.
I watch you like a hawk, Dick. Mr. Melnick, Mr. Reichland Melnick, you believe in open borders too, don't you?
I do not, Mr. Kennedy.
Okay. On November 1st, 2022, you tweeted, both Texas and Louisiana have their knives out for black immigrants. Do you remember that tweet?
I don't, but it's quite possible.
What Texans, it's not only possible, it happened. You're not denying it, are you?
No, I'm saying, referring
What
to the
Texans?
context.
Who are
I
you
actually
talking
don't
to?
know the
Who
context.
are you talking to about who in Texas had their knives out for black immigrants?
Guessing the context, but my suspicion is
Give
that
me
it
a
has to
name.
do the
Give me a
Attorney
name.
General Ken Paxton and
Give
the
me a
Attorney
name.
General of
Give me a
Louisiana.
name.
I just did.
You don't have a name, do you?
I just said Ken Paxton.
You don't have a name, do you? You just said it, didn't you?
Just said Ken Paxton.
All right, how about Louisiana? You said Louisiana has its knives out for black immigrants. Who in Louisiana were you talking about?
Again, I'm not certain. That was 2 years ago, and as I'm sure you know, much has happened in the last 2 years.
Well, did you say it?
Again, I do not remember the context,
But you don't,
Senator
you
Kennedy.
said somebody had their knives out from Louisiana for black immigrants, but you don't know who they were? You just said it?
I said the Attorney General of Louisiana and Texas, and I believe this referred to specifically lawsuits brought and arguments that were made in court that the arrival of Haitians
I'm out
and
of time,
others
but I
were
want to get you
inherently
on the
dangerous,
record.
which was
You
not.
Thank you very
believe-
much, Senator.
Believe
Appreciate
that the
your
Attorney
questions.
General at that time of Louisiana had his knives out for black immigrants. That's your testimony.
Given their
Thank you,
litigation
Senator Kennedy.
conduct, yes.
All right, let's unpack what you just watched. Because that wasn't a normal Senate hearing. That was a masterclass in how to hold people accountable when they show up to Capitol Hill thinking they can hide behind credentials and fancy titles. Senator Kennedy didn't raise his voice. He didn't grandstand. He just asked simple, direct questions, and every single witness either crumbled or exposed themselves. Let's start with Todd Arthur from the Center for Immigration Studies. Now give Arthur credit. He was honest. Kennedy asked him straight up, is the southern border chaotic by design? Yes. Is it man-made? Yes. Is the man responsible named Joe Biden? Yes. That's not partisan spin. That's a non-partisan researcher confirming what 70% of Americans already know. The border didn't break by accident. It was a policy choice. And Arthur, who's covered the border for 3 decades, said it plainly. If you're waiting in line to come here legally, you're a chump. His word. Under oath. In a Senate hearing room. Let that sink in for every legal immigrant who played by the rules. Now here's where it gets really good. Kennedy turns to the retired general, a man who spent 35 years in uniform, who opened his testimony talking about duty, honor, and respect. Sounds great, right? Sounds like a man of principle. But Kennedy had done his homework. He pulled up what this general said on CNN back in October. And folks, it wasn't pretty. The general called President Trump a fascist. Said he was proud of General Milley for saying it. And then, and this is the part that should make your blood boil, he said that most MAGA Republicans are, quote, fascists themselves. Now think about that for a second. This is a man who swore an oath to defend the Constitution, an oath to protect the rights of every American citizen. And he goes on national television and calls tens of millions of his fellow Americans fascists. People who voted their conscience, who love this country, who work hard and pay taxes and follow the law. And then he walks into a Senate hearing and talks about duty, honor, and respect. Kennedy saw right through it, and he made sure everyone else did too. Watch the general's reaction when Kennedy confronts him. He tries to dodge. He says he'd be happy to discuss his personal perspectives separately. Translation: he didn't want to answer for his own words on the record. But Kennedy wouldn't let him off the hook. He asked the question every American was thinking: you think you're smarter than the American people, don't you? You think you're more virtuous, don't you? And the general said he was insulted. Insulted. The man who called 75 million Americans fascists on cable television is insulted when a senator asks if he thinks he's better than the people he served. You cannot make this stuff up. And then Kennedy moved to Reichlin Melnick. Now this one's interesting because Reichlin Melnick tried to play it cool. Kennedy asked him point blank, "You believe in open borders, don't you?" He said no. Fine. But then Kennedy pulled up a tweet from November 2022 where Reichlin Melnick wrote that both Texas and Louisiana have their knives out for black immigrants. Kennedy asked a simple question. Who in Louisiana had their knives out? And watch what happens. Reichlin Melnick starts stumbling. He says he doesn't remember. He says it was 2 years ago. He guesses it might have been about the Attorney General. He's not sure. This is a man who made a serious racial accusation against 2 entire states on a public platform, and he can't even remember who he was accusing or why. Here's the thing that most people miss about what Kennedy did in this hearing. He didn't just expose bad arguments. He exposed a mindset. There is a class of people in Washington, retired generals, think tank lawyers, policy experts, who genuinely believe they know what's best for you. They believe the American people are too stupid, too racist, or too dangerous to be trusted with their own opinions on immigration, and Kennedy, in about 6 minutes, pulled the mask right off every single one of them. The general talks about honor, but calls voters fascists on CNN. The activist talks about justice, but smears entire states as racist on social media and can't remember who he was even talking about. These are the people who spent 4 years telling you the border was fine, that the system was working, that you were the problem for wanting it fixed. Kennedy made them own it. Every word. On the record. Under oath. And that's what separates a real leader from a politician. Kennedy didn't need a 20-minute speech. He didn't need charts and graphs. He just needed their own words. He held up the mirror and let America see exactly who's been driving the bus on immigration policy for the last 4 years. People who think legal immigrants are chumps. People who call their own countrymen fascists. People who throw around accusations of racism and can't even back them up when asked. This is why these hearings matter, folks. Not because of the theatrics, but because of the truth that comes out when someone actually has the guts to ask the hard questions. Senator Kennedy asked them, and America got its answers. If this kind of straight talk is what you've been looking for, no spin, no sugarcoating, just accountability, smash that subscribe button and turn on the bell. Drop your take in the comments. Did Kennedy go too far, or did these witnesses get exactly what they deserved? I already know what most of you are going to say.